If your 2007 to 2015 Silverado or Sierra 1500's front end is feeling a bit loose, then this lower control arm kit with new ball joints may just be the cure. Featuring new OEM style bushings and ball joints, this kit is an easy refresh of your truck's front suspension for a fraction of the price of what your dealer would charge. Just a quick note on fitment here, this kit is designed to fit 2007 to 2015 Silverado and Sierra 1500s, originally equipped with the cast steel control arms. I really hate to admit it because GMT 900s are some of my favorite trucks, but they are getting up there in years. And with age and mileage comes suspension wear. It's a fact of life. Bushings wear out, the front end of your truck starts feeling not so good. But what we have here is effectively the easy button solution to part of that problem. In this kit, you get a pair of lower control arms for each side of your truck's front suspension with brand new OEM style ball joints and bushings already pressed in for you. And while it's certainly less expensive to replace just those ball joints and bushings separately, that job is a huge pain to do, and it's going to take you far more time. These arms come with everything already installed and ready to go right out of the box, so all you have to do is unbolt your originals and bolt these right up in their place. It'll tighten up the front end of your truck so it handles and steers just like the day it rolled off of the assembly line. Much like your OEM control arms, these are put through the ringer when they're made, featuring steel construction with a rust-resistant black coating, plus all new rubber bushings and OE-style ball joints. They are a full refresh. These are also made in an ISO 9002 certified facility, meaning that they've been tested for impact, fatigue, and wear to ensure that they meet strict quality control standards, so they're going to perform just like your original equipment. Pricing comes in at about $375, and while yes, that is a pretty decent sized chunk of change, this is one of the most affordable kits out there, and the whole thing is going to cost you less than just getting one arm from your Chevy dealer. It's a heck of a good deal for the difference that these can make, and while yes, it might be less expensive to just buy the bushings and the ball joints, this does make installation a whole lot easier. Speaking of, installation is going to get a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete, perhaps a bit more if you've never messed with your truck's suspension previously. It is, however, a fully bolt-on process, so you don't need to modify anything on the truck itself to get these fitted, and they come right out of the box ready to go, so it makes this about as easy a job as it can be. We're also going to walk you through the install process step by step, and for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you need a 1/2 inch and 3/8 impact, 1/2 inch ratchet, 3/8 extension, a 36, 24, 22, 18, 15, and 10 millimeter socket, a couple different pry bars, a 15 and 9 millimeter wrench, a hammer, needle nose pliers, and a grease gun. All right, today we're gonna be installing a lower control arm on our Silverado, so let's get started. So to start, we're going to be taking off our inside flange for our axle, so that is a bolt-on flange. I'm just going to be using our little pry bar here just to help spin the hub so we can access all the bolts. So we'll get underneath, grab our impact and a 15 millimeter swivel socket and get those off. So we have our impact, extension, and 15 millimeter swivel. We're just going to zip all these out. Now that all of our bolts are off, we can just pull this towards our hub and be able to free that up. Now we just need to get our bolt out and our sway bar link out of the way. So now I have my pry bar. I'm just gonna get underneath this cap and hit it with our hammer, just pop it off. Now that our cap is off, I'm gonna grab my 1/2 inch impact and a 36 millimeter socket and take our nut off. Now that our nut's off, we can pop our washer off, and then we can get our sway bar link out of the way so we can hopefully get our axle out. So next I have my impact and my 15 millimeter socket and a 15 millimeter wrench to hold the top nut if we need to. We're gonna take our sway bar link out of the way. Pop that out. Take that out of the way. Just remember how it goes back together. Kind of slide it back over the bolt, just like so you remember how it goes. So I tried all camera, but I just couldn't get enough movement from our axle. So we're gonna take out our bottom strut mount bolts just to get a little bit more movement and see if we can get this out of the way. So I have my impact and 15 millimeter socket. I'm gonna take off these 2 bolts. So as you can see, I have a pry bar here just in our lower control arm. I'm just gonna pull our strut out of the way just so we can drop it down a little bit more. We're just gonna have to bend this shield out of the way. You can unbolt it if you want. We're just gonna bend ours out of the way. Pull our axle out. All right, so we just need to maneuver our axle out of the way. What I just did real quick, on the other side, I unbolted the other sway bar link just to get us some movement in that. That gives us enough clearance to get this out of the way. Now that our axle is out of the way, we can release this ball joint so we can bring it up and get it out. Now we're just gonna take our nut off down here. We're gonna use our impact and 24mm socket and take a hammer and break this free. And we just have our 2 bolts in the back. All right, so we have our nut loose. We're just gonna pop that off. As you see, it's already released. If it's not, you just hit that with a hammer right there. We just need to take our bolts off back here. We're gonna grab our impact with an 18mm swivel socket on the head. And then we have our ratchet with a 24mm socket on the back side. We're gonna take these off. Same thing over here. So we got our nuts off. We're gonna get our bolts out. So as you can see, this bolt is hitting our sway bar here. So we're gonna take our 2 10mm bolts out of our mount and see if we can get it out just by taking this bracket off. So now that that's out of the way, we can pull our bolt completely out. So now we're just gonna push our control arm out. Let it come down like so, and then just pull our lower ball joint out of the way, like so. Now we have our new control arm. We're gonna get this in place. We're gonna start by putting our ball joint into our knuckle, and then we'll get the back part of our control arm into our subframe here and get our bolts through. So we'll move on our knuckle around here, get our ball joint in, and then push everything out so we can get locked in up in here. With that in place, we'll get our bolts through. And we can thread on our washers and nuts. And then we have our castle nut for our ball joint, thread that on, and we can go ahead and get everything tightened down. Now we're gonna tighten our 2 back bolts. So we have our ratchet with our 24mm socket for our nut and our impact with our 18mm socket for our head. Go ahead and tighten those down. Now we'll take our impact and our 22mm socket and tighten down our castle nut. Just make sure you line up the hole so we can put our cotter pin through. So we'll get our cotter pin through, grab a pair of needle nose pliers, and just bend that back. Now we're gonna put our grease fitting into our lower ball joint here. So we're gonna thread that in to the top. And we're gonna grab our 9mm wrench and tighten that down. Now that that's tightened down, we're gonna grab our grease gun and grease up our ball joint. Once that's greased up, clean off the extra, we can go ahead and get our axle back in place. As you can see, I have my pry bar in between our control arm and strut. I'm gonna pry that out of the way so we can get our axle back into place. So I just placed our clip back over our bottom of our strut to put our bolts through. So we're gonna get them up in place. You see it's just not grabbing a little bit, but we're just gonna put our socket on and push up on our lower control arm and get that to go in place. Get our second one started. And go ahead and tighten that down for impact and 15mm socket. We'll get our bracket and put that back over our sway bar mount. Get our 2 10mm bolts and thread those in. And grab our impact and socket and tighten them down. Then we'll come over to our sway bar link and reinstall that. We got our bolt in our middle section. Pull that down. Put our top bushing and nut on. Then we'll grab our impact, 15mm socket, and a 15mm wrench to hold the top and tighten that down. Next, we're gonna come on the inside of our axle and reinstall all of our bolts. Now I like to thread these all in first just to make sure we're not gonna cross thread any of them. So we get those 3 threaded on, turn our axle with our pry bar. Get these threaded in, and we'll grab our impact with our 15mm socket and tighten these all down. Lastly, we just have our axle nut. So we have our washer, and then our nut, grab our impact and 36mm socket, tighten that down. Grab your dust cap and a hammer and just tap that into place. Now you can go ahead and repeat all those same steps on the other side of the truck. And that wraps up our install of our front lower control arms with ball joints for our 2007 to 15 Silverado 1500 with stock cast steel control arms. And remember, for everything Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.